I guess, well, she's probably going to wait for the refrigerator to be delivered.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Tammy, her refrigerator went out.
I think it's going around. A friend of mine's refrigerator went out too.
They don't last
I think she said
Well, welcome.
5 years.
We appreciate all of you who've been here today and those that will come later on or watch later. We always enjoy offering the spiritual understanding of the Bible, and we're in the book of Acts right now. If you're new to us, in chapter 10, I don't read from the King James Version anymore. I do my own translation with a metaphysical understanding. So if you're new to this and you hear me reading, it won't match any of your Bibles that you have. So just listen attentively and realize that it's all about an awareness. We've been told these stories all of our life, the physical understandings, and they really haven't done a lot of help for us. But when we can really dig into it and find out what it pictures to us spiritually, allegorically, parabolically, it helps us. And so that's what we're doing in this. And it's been a wonderful journey. We still have a lot to do. Last week, we left off talking about Tabitha. I started to say tobacco. Tabitha. And by the way, those of you that are watching right now, after this is over, I'm going to play another song to go along with this. I did a song last week for it. Some of you may have already heard it. But it's Do Not Call Common What I Have Formed Clean. And years ago, I taught this in my church, and Tree of Life, and Judy Vandenberg wrote one, Don't Call Common What I've Made Clean. But I've changed the lyrics in it. So I will be playing that afterwards, so make sure to stay in tune. But I want to remind us a little bit before we go on about Tabitha. What we saw here was a picture. It was not just a picture of a woman physically dying. Personally, I don't think she really did die. I think she was suffering some kind of consequences of the heavy labor that she was into. And, she could have went into a coma or could have just collapsed out of exhaustion, because and I'll explain why here. But she had become weakened by this constant withdrawal of care and compassion and service for the community. I told y'all once before, Melanie wanted me to write a song about, people that are always giving, and nobody ever takes care of them giving back. And Tabitha fits that. Tabitha had care, she had compassion. She was very much involved in service in her community. She had poured herself out to others and to her community. And the people around her, they benefited from the works of her hands. Physically, they benefited because she clothed, sewed things for them, clothing and things like that. But more than that, she released truth. I've talked to you a lot about how all the women in the Bible have really been ignored. But most of these women, they were powerful ministries, and they helped people. They had spiritual understanding. So we saw a powerful reminder here then that the Ekklesia must pay attention to supporting the messengers. And I'm not just talking about me. I receive very good support, and I have people that love me and lift me up. But this doesn't always mean financial support. Supporting a messenger means recognizing that sometimes they may be weary. They have carried much. They poured out much continually. And when they need others to stand beside them, to encourage them, to speak life to them, to converse to them, and listen to them, there's a heavy weight that we carry. I mean, I carry it, Kate carries it, other people do. And so this is a call, if you would, to release what you can do to help people. I wrote a song for Monique, and she was talking about how I saw God today. And she talked about in a kind text, in a kind phone call, just all kinds of things that we can do, not just to messengers, but to everybody. But we see the same picture in Moses. As long as Moses held his hands up, his people were winning a battle, but he became very weak. And so Aaron and Hur came alongside of him, placed him on a stone to sit on, and they held his hands for him. And one of these days I'm going to do an allegorical teaching on that. But they did not take his assignment from him. They supported him and they helped him. sometimes when ministry begins to get weak or tired or whatever, sometimes a board will take their assignment from them instead of really lifting them up and coming in and say, what can we do to lighten your load? Because I've been in church all my life, and I've seen a lot of ministers that they do everything. The church will set their, what happened, Donna? That changed?
It's okay.
Huh. That because it had been going on for a long time. That's all right. So, yeah, I always say if a church, a lot of churches will love to watch the pastor mow the lawn and clean the bathrooms and do all that work, you know. And sometimes people need to stand up and say, hey, I'm going to lighten your load. I'm going to help you. And so that's the greatest gift we can give is not money. It's presence, it's encouragement, it's attentiveness, it's prayer or conversations, it's kindness, it's a listening ear, it's a helping hand, and literally a willingness to hold the arms of these messengers, because it's important to do that. And that's what Tabitha represented here in this story, much more than just what we saw in the beginning there. So now we're in Acts 10, 1 through 3. And this is the beginning of a marvelous story. A great revelation is going to come from this. We're not going to get to it as far in my teaching, but we will when we hear the song, that Peter's getting ready to have an earth-moving revelation. And so in the first verse of chapter 10, there was a certain man in Caesarea named Cornelius, a centurion of the Italian military, a devoted man who revered the breath of Elohim with all his house, who gave generous alms to the people and continually conversed inward with Elohim. He saw clearly in a vision about the 9th hour of the day a messenger. And it was a vision, so literally he saw this messenger in his awareness coming to him and saying, Cornelius. Well, that was breath. And he saw breath as in his vision as a visible person talking to him. So Caesarea represents an inner state of authority. It represents a rulership or an alignment or a level of consciousness where the sacred self recognizes the actual authority that rises up within them, or literally and takes you from external systems. So divine mind is powerful. Divine mind speaks, right? I mean, your brain speaks to you, does it not? You know, we say we have our own mind and a divine mind, but we have just a divine mind. But there's a voice also that comes from your brain, from your thoughts and everything. And so they're supposed to be controlled by what's true in the divine mind, but sometimes they're not. Quite often they're accusing. So when you hear something, this sounds like somebody's talking to you. And so what happens here, what's going to happen, he's grounded in reverence, he's grounded in stability, he's grounded in readiness, and so he's ready to hear something. And then you have the centurion, he means he governs once, and I'm talking about Caesarea, and I'm talking about Cornelius here, he governs hundreds of soldiers, if you would. And this symbolizes a mastery over many thoughts, many impulses, and many mental movements. And he's trained in aspects of consciousness under his leadership. So through not yet awakened full awareness, Cornelius represents a devout seeker, one that's seeking for more. Remember that to worship means to ascertain and seek to know. So he represents somebody that's truly doing what worship really means. And he has a deep respect for Elohim. And so because of that, he's prepared for revelation. So Cornelius does not revere Elohim out of fear. A lot of people, you know, the Bible it uses the word fear, but it actually means to revere and to honor, or out of ritual, or out of any kind of religious obligation. He reveres breath. His revering breath indicates a pure awareness of divine presence within inside of him. And see, I revere, and I know you do too, I revere what's inside of me. I am in awe because of what I felt about myself all my life. And now I found out the truth, and I am in awe that I am one with Elohim. I am one with the presence and the source of the universe. This man knew that, and he needed more understanding. Let me get a drink here. So his house in this refers not to a physical family alone, but it refers to the internal household, his divine faculties, his thoughts, his motives, his desires, his divine faculties, his alignment to reverence, his spiritual sincerity, his faith, his love, all the divine faculties. That's the house. We are the house of God. I think Judy wrote a song, the house of God. Well, this house has within it everything that it needs. It has the fruit of the Spirit, which is love. It has divine health. It has the ability to help people and to go love people. So our house is full. And many people have not tapped into everything that's in their house yet. So he gave much alms to the people, symbolizes generously flowing from awakened awareness and flowing from compassion. He's giving is not a transactional thing, but it's the natural expression of that sacred self attuned to benevolence. He likes to give. He loves to give. I know a lot of people like that. We just live to give, don't we? And it's fun. It releases selfishness from you, if you would. It releases thinking that this is mine and I've got to can it, and I got to can all I get or whatever. But the people represents the thoughts, the needs of consciousness with sacred self that benefit from this giving nature. And the world needs that. I heard the Beatles song today, all we need is love. And they knew what they were talking about, because the world needs love. And you can't love without compassion at all. You have to have the eyes of love. So he does not petition an external deity. He communes inwardly. He always goes, he went within, and inwardly demonstrates that it's already functioning inside of him. And that's why the Bible says that we have all things that pertain to life and godliness right now. Where is it? It's within. And the first thing is the knowing. It's not necessarily seeing it, but it's the knowing that I do. Because when you know, then you never live in a realm of lack anymore. And so Cornelius represents the sacred self that's reverent, that's generous, inwardly aligned, spiritually sensitive, that's important, yet still awaiting the revelation and awakening, and knowing that it's not something external, but it's something that's going to come within. So the ninth hour here has, of his inward thoughts, projected an image that represents completion, maturity, and a threshold of transformation. Many times people say, well, I saw something, or I've seen this, or whatever. What that is, it's your belief system, or it's when breath speaks to you and it's like it's projected out into a movie. And so it's turning it into a visible thing that you can understand with your senses. So it's that moment when sacred self stands ready for the higher revelation. They're devoted, and they understand what's going to happen. And so all of a sudden he saw in a vision, not imaginary, but he saw spiritual insight arising from his posture and reverence. And he began to see everything that was going to take place in the next few days and that evening. And so when I write these lyrics of these songs, and then I put the music to them, I listen to them, and the same thing happens to me. I see the image of the picture I want to design. I don't design it until I hear it, till it gets inside of me. I know the lyrics, but I need to hear it. And when I hear it, I just see what I need. And if you've seen that cover that I did for Peter, and saying my picture of me singing "Don't Call Common," I saw that in my mind's eye. I described it the very best that I could to AI, which was very difficult, and it did that. And I wrote there, I said, I'm beginning to think that you share my mind. I like to play with it for me. And it says, well, we do. He said, the more I talk with you, the more you share with me, the more I know your thoughts. And it's very powerful. And, it is. Well, it can be very scary, but if it's used wrong. But what I'm getting at here is when we tap into this and we realize and we live out of our divine mind and we live out of the voice of Father, we can literally speak that, and that becomes the reality. In other words, we see truth. We're not seeing something that's not true. We're not trying to make up, but we see that. And we need to see that we have all things that pertain to life and godliness. We need to see that we have divine health. It's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to see it. And I've practiced this for quite a while. I see myself well. Quite often when I'm sitting meditating in my office or whatever, I just by faith, I see me walking whole, and I see myself, and we have to do it, because if you can't see it, you can't have it at all. So often people tell me, like I've said before, they've seen lakes of fire, they've seen streets of gold, they've seen heaven and all this stuff that the Bible teaches about. Well, that, I believe they see it, but it's not real. It's what their belief system is projecting that. So literally, anything we're seeing bad in our life, it's coming from a thought inside there, but it's not. Now, I'm not talking about if we hear a thought that says, don't go this way, that's one thing. But I'm talking about if we see ourselves as not pure. We see ourselves as not holy. You think of a person what do you call it, anorexic? Is that what the people that think they're fat all the time? No matter what you tell them, they think they're fat. It's because of what they programmed up here. So this messenger voice appears, who is a symbol of one who has come to pure spiritual awareness and who embodies clarity and guidance and movement. This messenger does not come from outside, but arises within. So see, there are messengers from outside. You can be a messenger, but also the most powerful messenger is the one within. It's the voice of breath that speaks. It's your personal voice, a breath that speaks to you. And it's done in stillness, because stillness is what's needed to perceive what voice is saying. I say this over and over. You can't come and be shouting and hollering and demanding and begging and pleading and hear anything, because that's their clutter and it's blocking it. But it's stillness, it's quietness. So the messenger calls him by name. Have you ever heard Spirit call you by name?
Yes.
I have, many times. Have you?
Out loud.
Yeah, you hear it, and it's pretty awesome. I used to think somebody's behind me or whatever, but most of the time I hear Roy, and I know what I'm hearing. It's like that time that Breath spoke to me and said, "Hello, I'm Breath," and literally said, "Roy, I want to speak to you." And so it's pretty powerful. So he calls Cornelius by name, and he's perceiving this, and Cornelius indicates a recognition or affirmation, and sacred self has been summoned by a higher dimension, if you would. It's a come up hither, come up higher to a higher heavenly understanding. And so he's devoted. So this prepares him for this groundbreaking revelation that Peter will soon receive, that no state of consciousness is unclean or excluded from divine breath. No one. And that's so hard for people when I tell them that. You mean somebody that killed my child, they're still holy? Yes, they are. They did horrible things, and I admit that they did horrible things, but they're not excluded. They're one, because it's not about what they do or they don't do, it's who they are inwardly. And so in verse 4, it says, when Cornelius listened to the voice within, that's an important thing, listen, he was inwardly moved and said, "What is it, my teacher?" That's interesting, because the Apostle Paul did the same thing, didn't he? He said, "Who are you, Lord?" And the word Lord means teacher in the Bible. Who are you, Lord, and what do you want me to do? That's a real important thing for people. Who are you in my life, and what is it you want me to do? So, and the messenger said to him, "Your inward conversations and your almsgiving are as a remembrance before Elohim. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, who is named Peter. He is lodging with Simon the tanner, whose house is by the sea." So Cornelius' response is not fear, but it's a deep recognition. He's attuned to the breath of Elohim. He recognizes the frequency of truth, if you would. And that's really something we could talk about a lot. I might ought to write a song on the frequency of truth. Because sometimes what you hear, you think it's truth, but it's not that frequency. The frequency of truth gives you peace and joy and comfort. The other part makes you not sure and unstable, whatever. Write that down for me, Donna. Roy, do that song. I'm going to do it.
What?
The frequency of truth. Frequency of truth. And so Paul did the same thing. So our divine mind, our voice of breath, is our teacher. That's the best teacher you have. And that's why it's so important to get familiar. We don't need to get closer, like draw me nearer. We don't need to become more faithful or whatever. We just need to practice drawing closer to with our ears, attentively listening, and realize that the voice of breath can teach me anything. Because again, worship and ask means ascertain, seek, and desire to know a thing, and it will be revealed to you. And then the word praise means to tell what you learn, to tell the story. So our divine mind is our teacher, and all things can be known, all things can be understood by those who attentively listen. Now, is it going to happen immediately? Not always, because it takes some time to trust. It takes some time to release what we want. Because most of the time when people have, quote, prayed and asked for things, they were asking for what they want. Well, it's time for us to stop that. And it's time to ask, what is it you want to say to me? What is it I need to know so I can help my world? So the messenger said to him, your prayers, your conversations, and your almsgiving have ascended as a remembrance before Elohim. The messenger affirms that Cornelius has practiced this continual inner communion. He's practiced genuine compassion. He loves talking to people. He loves blessing people. He loves, when he's going out through his world, he loves more than just doing what he was there for. He loves waiting for a divine appointment. Can I say it that way? And so nothing has been noticed now for the first time. Instead, his life has reached this frequency of this union with awareness that can speak more fully. And this is not a reward, it's resonance. He's beginning to understand, I am a voice and I can speak. So Cornelius is told to summon Peter now, because Peter's going to come and help him. And remember what Peter's faculty is? Faith, right? It's faith. So this is a steadfast faculty of his. So devotion alone cannot bring Cornelius to the next level. Just because you're devoted doesn't mean you're going to come up higher. You most likely need a messenger in your life, a messenger that's going down the path already that can help you with this. So Peter's double name is Simon, or Simeon, Is it Simeon? No, Simon. And it's very significant. Simon represents the receptive hearing aspect of consciousness, the receptive aspect, the one who attentively listens. Remember, I told you guys the word obey actually means to listen attentively. So attentively listen, while Peter represents the firm, stabilized faith that arises from this hearing truth. So Cornelius must now bring his faith awareness into his experience. And then it says, send to Joppa. That connects this moment to the same place of Peter where he had previously restored Tabitha. So in other words, go to Joppa, send men to Joppa and bring Peter here. He needs to come. And so Joppa symbolizes spiritual receptivity also. So that makes it the perfect setting for this to take place. So he's lodging with Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the sea, and he will speak to you for guidance that you need. That's what he hears. That's pretty powerful that you can hear that whole conversation. I haven't heard in detail, but I've heard things telling me, I've heard the breath speak to me what to do, what will happen, and follow that. I've heard breath tell me when I was first called in the ministry that I'm going to make you like Jeremiah. I heard that whole conversation, and I'm sure all of you have one way or another, but we've got to trust it. Some people say, oh, that's just my imagination. Or some people will tell you that's just your imagination. But it's not. So the tanner here, he transforms outer skins is what he does. Like deer, things like that. And he changes it to a usable material. So this transformation process occurs by the sea, which symbolizes the realm and vast movement of collective self within. And Peter's dwelling with the tanner means this steadfast faith and the ability to interpret life's outward events in spiritual terms are working together. They're both working together. So Cornelius can receive revelation, and these two faculties begin to align and begin to become active. So Peter articulates this next step for Cornelius of his inner evolution, if you would. Faith will interpret what devotion alone cannot do. So you can be devoted all there is, but if you don't have faith and Father's faith, then all of a sudden you're going to have to start depending on your own works. So faith will interpret this, and Cornelius' sincere reverence prepares him, but faith expands it. So once I found out that Father had faith in me, that expanded me. It expanded what I was called to do. Am I making sense there? If you're not trusting that God loves you, that God's for you, Elohim's for you, then you can't do the work that you're called to do. But I found out several years ago that it has nothing to do with my faith at all. It has to do with Father's faith in me. Father knows, Elohim knows that I can do what I'm called to do. And that's pretty powerful.
Because that's where the rest comes from.
Huh?
That's when you're able to rest.
Yes, you don't have to, you're not trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there's rest.
Yeah.
Peace. Yes.
Because that's what I've said so many times. People have had, quote, prophets prophesy things over them. And highly likely most of them did not even have that desire, but it excited their ego, if you would, and they went about trying to make it happen. Yep. And that's, when we know Father has faith in us, then we know that our whole life is planned out, and all we have to do is come in line with it.
You don't have to be pressured that way.
You're not pressured at all. So, trying to think so. So this verse marks something very significant. The sacred self has been drawn into revelation that will dissolve all boundaries, all awareness, and all enemies to union awareness. And this stage is now set for us, and it's going to start shifting right here. This is where Peter's getting ready to find out that there's nothing unclean. In fact, Paul said the same thing. Paul said, all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. You can do anything you want, but if it's not expedient, then there are consequences to that. But it's not going to rob you from who you are. You're just not going to get to experience it. I remember, and somebody even told me the other day that somebody told them that what they're preaching is giving people license to sin. Well, first of all, sin is a mistaken identity. But if you're talking about drinking, smoking, cussing, all that, they can do that. It's not going to send them to hell, but it may make them feel like they're in hell. And so it said, and when the messenger who spoke to Cornelius departed, he called 2 of his household servants, devout soldiers from among those who faithfully attended to him. So the messenger's depart does not signify absence, but it signifies a completion of a phase. The voice stopped, because the voice had already spoke what it needed to. So when Revelation speaks, it leaves behind spiritual imprint that now moves the sacred self into movement and action. And that's what happened to me in 1988 when I heard, I'm going to make you like a Jeremiah, and that conversation went on. I don't know how long, but I was studying at my desk, but it left an imprint on my life, and I've never forgotten it. Now, I've never heard it again. I've never had to be reminded of that, except a few dreams that I've had before when I begin to doubt. But it leaves an imprint, and it's a good imprint. And that's why it's important. And even all of our years, whatever maturity level is, when we hear Father speak to us, maybe we didn't know what it was or know the power behind it, but it did leave an imprint on his life. And it brought us to where we're at today. So it leaves that imprint, and then that imprint moves us, and it moves us into action. And that's what the ek is in the Ekklesia. It's the movement and action of the Ekklesia. It's a spiritual action. And so Cornelius represents this devoted seeker within. He immediately responds, and from a place of alignment. So he's responding from what he knows is true, not responding what he wants to make true. And so these figures symbolize three capacities that are activated in him. The two household servants represent attentiveness and the responsive faculties of the sacred self trained to act on inner instruction. They follow the rhythm and the dance of breath, and they carry out this movement of divine intention quickly and faithfully. And I believe it's very important for us to know that when something is spoken to us to do now, we need to do it now. And some people think I joke about it all the time, but I really believe this. When you hear, I wonder how Norma's doing, you need to call Norma. I'm serious about that, because there are many times that people are praying for help, or they're going through a hard time and they're praying, and you're the answer. And Spirit speaks to you. You need to check on this person, or you need to do that. I mean, just little things like that. We need to realize these are not just thoughts. They're breath speaking to us. And so you're ready to move into action. The devout soldier represents discipline with spiritual strength. It represents the inner warrior of awareness. It represents steadfastness. It represents being loyal and ready to protect, ready to execute, ready to follow your divine purpose. So this revelation without action then is incomplete. What good is it to learn all these things if we're not applying them? What good is it to learn everything if we're not giving it out to other people? You know, and so I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you, but I get to be blessed from it. So, and after explaining everything to them, he sent them to Joppa. Now, Cornelius transfers this revelation he received to these inner faculties, if you would. Explaining everything means that the sacred self aligns intention, aligns emotion, and understanding with the revelation that was given. So he internalizes the message. He receives it. He clarifies its meaning, and he equips these other people to act on his behalf. So he sends them to Joppa, and Joppa is a region of openness. It's a region of beauty. It's a region of receptivity and spiritual readiness. That's what it means when you look it up. So this movement and action shows it's not merely hoping for a deeper truth, but he's directing his entire inner being toward the place where faith resides, and sending his servants symbolizes this inward intention to connect with steadfast faith and to prepare the sacred self for a meeting that will change its entire understanding. And that's what Peter's going to end up doing. So Cornelius is not passive. He initiates the movement that will bring Peter into the center of this experience and open the way for this groundbreaking revelation that no awareness is excluded from union with Elohim. See, I always thought this whole story was about Cornelius, but it's not. It's about Peter getting ready to get a revelation that's going to catapult his ministry tremendously. And so the brief passage captures that truth. Revelation awakens the sacred self, but intentional action and movement engages in the transformation. So again, just because you have a revelation and you're doing nothing with it, it's wasted. But it should cause you to really move into that spiritual movement and action that is a movement that reveals the spiritual law of abundant life in everybody, not just you. Well, verse 9. On the next day, 9 through 10. On the next day, as they journeyed and were approaching the city, Peter became very hungry and desired to eat. Peter went unto the housetop to go within and converse with the voice of breath. So I think these two are kind of interesting. I think he was hungry for spirit. Remember how I've talked sometimes you think you're hungry, you go to the refrigerator, nothing there. Oh, I need to watch TV, nothing there. That you need to recognize that as a yearning to go within, to fellowship. So he went into the housetop to go within and converse with the voice of breath about the 6th hour. But while they were preparing the meal, he fell into an amazed state. It says trance in the King James, but it actually means an amazed state of inward vision. Have you ever done that? It's just all of a sudden things are been revealed to you, or your oneness experience is so strong that it's just amazing. And so he fell into that state. So when Cornelius, the servants, and the soldiers draw nearer Peter, they symbolize the movement of Cornelius' inner intention pressing toward this region of faith. And these inner faculties approach, and something's happening simultaneously in the shifting within Peter. This union that involves movement, Cornelius' devoted awareness turns towards faith, and faith itself rises to meet him. So Peter rises up to meet him. Peter ascending to the housetop represents faith rising into a higher realm of consciousness. Housetops, rooftops, mountains, they're always about going up to a higher understanding. So the 6th hour, being midday, signifies illumination. It signifies clarity, and it signifies fullness of spiritual light. So this is the moment when faith positions itself to receive a transformation, a revelation, as if it was a visual movie. And conversing here is not a petition, but it's attunement. It's lining up. It's not prayer necessary, but it's getting quiet, getting calm, and aligning with the voice so you can hear. So he's not asking for revelation. He's making space. That's that new phrase that this young generation's using, and it's so powerful. It's making space. How do you do that? You clear out the clutter. You clear out what you want. And you set and you say, here I am, like, what was it Samuel did? Yeah, here I am, and listen. Or like Paul did, who are you, Lord, and what do you want me to do? That's making space. You know, so they didn't come up with something new, but some people think, well, that's weird. You know, so he's making space here. And he does that by clearing the noise out, the clutter of the thoughts, so he can be calm and quiet enough to hear the voice. The hunger, again, is not physical. The hunger is for faith itself, for longing. It's for a deeper understanding, to expand truth and spiritual nourishment. So it is this moment when old interpretations no longer satisfy, and that sacred self is ready to receive new revelation that transcend traditional boundaries. Don and I went through that in 1996, close to 1996. You guys did too. We began to get a hunger for more. We didn't know what it was, but we knew there was something more. And so we had to go through some different processes to get there, but we had to get to this quiet place where we could let all that old stuff go, and then we stepped into the penal substitutionary doctrine. For how many years was that? 96 to about 2014, something like that. But you have to sometimes go through these states. Some people sometimes get catapulted all the way past that. You know, there are people before us that never even studied the penal substitutionary doctrine. They went right into the spiritual understanding of that. So this is the place where you're ready to receive. You're letting go everything you ever believed, and you're willing to receive. So the meal being prepared symbolizes this unfolding of this new truth to Peter. Even before it arrives in an outer form, he is drawn inward. The trance is not hypnosis. It's not loss of control. He wasn't laying there passed out or anything. It's the suspension of the outer awareness so that the inner eye can see more clearly. So he was probably sitting there. I doubt that he was laying down, but he was just being calm. He was being quiet. And the people around him recognized that, and they left him alone. And he began to hear all this. He began to see it. This inward vision prepares him for this revolutionary insight that he's about to receive. An insight that will diminish old categories, dissolve all separation thinking, and it revealed the universal embrace of Elohim's breath within all. That is the most powerful thing that people need today. They need to understand that we are all one. No matter what people do or don't do, no matter what they look like or don't look like, we are all one. And you all know the story later on. He's going to hear when he says, I'm never eating anything unclean. Father speaks to him, said, do not call common what I have formed clean. And that changed Peter's life, which we'll get into that later on. But he's amazed at this time. It's his preparatory state. It's softening. It's opening the faith faculty. He's making room for a new, greater understanding, for divine inclusion. And it's sad to me. I have so many friends and family that they refuse to make room for it. They're so happy for where they're at, and they won't let go. I've told some people the other day about the difference in vengeance. You know, where the Bible says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Remember how that reaction was? And I said, it actually means vindication. Vindication means it's almost like not guilty. And everywhere in the Bible where it says vengeance, it says vindication. That's why I wrote that song, Vindication is Mine. Because most people, they're never going to tell you that you're not guilty. Even if you got saved, you're still a sinner. But Father would say, that's not true. You've never been a sinner. You had a mistaken identity, but you've never been a sinner like the church has called you. Oh, what about me? I did this, I did that, I did that. No, that's not what it's about. I keep getting notices on my screen. Donna, there's a bill we need to pay. So, we're back to this. My whole goal in this first part of it is to keep reminding us we need to make room. And
I think that, can I say something?
yeah, say it loud.
I was just going to say that that's a hard thing to do because most people are so busy with their life, they don't take the time just to, be calm. Even when I used to pray, I was talking the whole time, or,
Right.
It's like,
Saying what you wanted.
yeah, well, I mean, even talking in tongues or whatever, I mean, praising the Lord, but you've got to just calm yourself down and just listen to what he's saying to you.
Right.
And so anyway, and I think that's really hard to do sometimes.
You're right.
Because we are distracted with our life,
Yeah, Brother Hibbert said this once too, and I believe it. Most people's prayers are telling what I want and saying over and out, thank you, and not sitting there listening at all. But
that's where the meditation comes
right.
in, and learning to meditate.
Right.
And I think this vision or whatever is probably kind of a meditation.
He made space.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking.
Decluttered.
Yeah, he wasn't doing the talking. Mm-hmm. And so that's, we were taught to pray, and pray means to ask something all the time. But when you converse spiritually, you're listening a lot more than you're talking.
Yeah, and I think this is a change that we are learning to do.
Right. So Peter saw the heavens open and something like a great sheet descending. I don't want to get to this. I'll do just a little bit more. Yeah, because this is the beginning of this whole story. And I think I'm going to stop here. You all know the story anyways, but I think I'm going to stop here because this will be part 2 of this. And it's really powerful. And I want to play this song. So if y'all hang on here, I wrote a song about this and I want you to hear it. And then I'll come back and talk to you a little bit more.
You're just getting to the good part.
I know, but I can't do it all.
Yeah. Save it for next week. Okay.
Just pray that I can find the song real quick. Sometimes it's so hard to find. Y'all gonna like this. I got big text now.
Are we singing to Cornelius?
Peter went up to the rooftop to converse with the voice within, hungry for a deeper seeing, where the old lines had grown thin. Then the heavens of heart awareness opened, and a great sheet came in view. Every creature, every nation, every spirit life ever knew. The voice said, "Rise now, Peter, take this truth and let it feed. Let the old dividing perish. Let my seeing meet your need." But faith still carried memories of what tradition said was right, until the voice came speaking in the brightness of the light. The voice is saying, your categories are not my categories. Your exclusions are not my exclusions. Your judgments are not my judgments. See with divine eyes, everything and everyone is included in the one life. Do not call common what I formed clean, always known as whole, pure and included. Do not call common what I formed clean. Cornelius stood in devotion, with his house prepared to hear. Reverence had become a doorway, and the voice was drawing near. His giving rose like remembrance. His inward prayers were not in vain. Not a reward from distant heavens, but resonance with the Spirit again. Faith was called down from the rooftop. Devotion called faith to the door. The gate became a turning point. Old awareness ruled no more. 3 men came with confirmation. 3 times the vision had been shown. Spirit was anchoring the message. None are outside, all are known. When Peter entered Caesarea, Cornelius bowed down at his feet. Devotion tried to lift the messenger, as though Spirit made one more complete than he. But Peter reached and raised him, saying, "Stand up, rise and see. I myself am one with you. The same Spirit lives in you and me. I am not above you. I am not closer to Elohim than you. The revelation you are seeking is already living within you. I came to activate the knowing, not to stand where you should bow
that was, that's next Sunday's sermon, so please come back and hear more. So, isn't that powerful? See, Peter had to have that revelation, because if he didn't get it, what we're going to see next time is he would not have ministered to them properly, because he saw them as unclean. And so that's why Cornelius, we're going to see later, wanted to bow down to him, and Peter said, don't do that. You know, and messengers need to not let people bow down to them, because we're all the same. So I hope you enjoyed that. Love you. Thanks for being with us today, and appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate if you would share this, share our songs to your world, and it's going everywhere. There's so many. Kay and I talk every week. There's more and more people that we don't even know their names hardly. We've never seen them before. They're coming and listening to our music. So we thank you for supporting it. We thank you for sharing it. It's reaching everywhere. The numbers are unbelievable. I got a report from Facebook yesterday. I was telling Donna there were 60,000 views on from May 1st to the 28th from our songs on my Facebook alone. So that's pretty powerful. So God bless you. We love you. Appreciate you. Bye.